It was our first day heading to Queensland, and we met up with Stephen and Sammy and decided to stop at Grey Gums for morning tea. And at that point we decided to take Commission Road rather than a little bit of gravel from Singleton to finish up at Scone. And Commission Road started out looking pretty good. You know, we thought this is pretty smooth. We passed 2 cars early in the piece, and that was it. We never saw another soul on the entire trip. So we thought it was pretty good riding, and it certainly was. It's 63 kilometres of gravel, Commission Road. Bit of water, we don't know where that was from. It hadn't rained for a little bit. The surface started deteriorating, so it was starting to get a little bit more interesting. Forever trusting. A lot of the ride was in fact uphill for significant amounts of time. Obviously there was some downhill, but we had to be going over the ranges, and we end up finishing up at Jerry's Plains. So Stephen continued on with us, obviously, because he did 5 days of the trip, and Sammy turned around and had fun on the Putty Road. Yeah, the GoPro makes things look a lot flatter than they are, not as steep as this, but it's quite a steep hill, this one, and very corrugated, rutted. Yeah, look, we had full loads, all of us were carrying full luggage, so the bikes were pretty heavy. Ours would have been close to 300 kilograms. And nothing else matters. Now, Commission Road starts around Howes Valley, a little bit past Grey Gums, and it finishes at a place called Apple Tree Flat. Yeah, quite a lot of it isn't like what you'd normally call a road. It should be called Commission Track, perhaps. Forever trusting who we are, and nothing else matters. Plenty of loose gravel, stones, rocks, little ones, big ones, but yeah, most of this, the GS handles this very, very well. Not much of a big deal at all, and certainly people who are on lightweight adventure bikes would absolutely love this road. Overall, this is a pretty good ride. The scenery changes. There's some narrow cliff face riding, there's open riding, there's some smooth riding, and there's a lot of corrugated, bumpy dugout riding as well. And there's some cliff face riding there as on the left side. I never opened myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way. McDonald River crossing is pretty early into the ride as well. There wasn't a great deal of water in McDonald River. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view, and nothing else matters. We continued on thinking we'd be over the rougher bits, but that actually wasn't the case. The road continued to have some ups and downs ongoingly for quite some time. Never care for what they do. Never care for what they know. And I know the ruts and potholes just mean that you've got to focus on the road a lot more and what's in front of you rather than being able to look around and check out the scenery. They're not the big issue. The big issue on this road is the sand. Stephen posted on social media, was this a difficult road to ride? And a number of people all replied, as people who replied to all said, nice and easy, yeah, go for it. And, it isn't a nice and easy ride, but it is an achievable ride, and the GSs are more than capable of doing it. But the sand was the problem. Depending on the line you took, you could have ended up in big, deep sand in the middle, on the sides, and it wasn't just a little bit at the top like it was suggested. We actually come across sand a number of times and found that the sand traps were steering us, and we had to really learn how to ride in sand quick smart.
I never opened myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way.
As you get nearer to Apple Tree Flat, the surface does smoothen out quite a lot, and it becomes some pretty good riding, or easy riding, which is good, and you can go a lot faster obviously for that. Occasionally there was still some sand traps that we had to be more careful of, some interesting areas where other people might choose to go for different rides on, but the scenery was really, really good. And by this time, 63 kilometres of dirt riding, we were pretty tired.
Never cared for what they say, never cared for games they play, never cared for what they do.
At this stage we could nearly see the finish line. It'll loose gravel around this bend, but and on the descent now, because most of the early part of the ride is uphill and then the downhill. So by now we were getting a bit thirsty, looking for a bit of a break, and we had that break. Tony was a bit exhausted, and she had every right to be, and then we continued on. There wasn't a great deal to go. The surface had smoothened out, as I said, as you get nearer to Apple Tree Flat. And the scenery, I think this is potentially a fantastic ride. There's 3 gates. One of them was open and 2 of them were closed. The point you have to know with the gates is that there is a locked padlock on them, but you just got to realise you lift the entire chain up over the pole and you can get through. There's no locked gates. There's a locked padlock, but you just lift the whole chain and away you go.